This is real wisdom from a couple who lives it out every day. Spend 3 minutes around the Rosbergs and you'll be thirsty for more in your marriage. You'll also be affirmed and encouraged.
For 40 plus years, Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg have been inspiring marriages throughout the world. These seasoned radio hosts are now hosting their popular podcast, Your Marriage Coaches. Coupled with their many popular and best-selling books and their marriage coaching and training, Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg are equipping couples everywhere with tools and encouragement for a great marriage.
These two have been an asset to my marriage with their biblical marriage applications, advice, and guidance. Let Dr. Gary and Barbie help you get the more out of your marriage.
Won't you partner with the Rosbergs today? Your generous donation will support their mission of championing marriages for the cause of Christ by coaching husbands and wives to experience a great marriage for a lifetime and for the sake of the next generation. We appreciate your prayers and support for this ministry. Find out how you can come alongside the Rosbergs when you go to americasfamilycoaches.com. Just search the top of the index for the Donate tab.
Thank you, Dr. Gary and Barbie, for sharing your wisdom, your advice, your help, and your love and laughter with the world. You are tenderly caring for hearts, resulting in happy, healthy homes. So grateful for you.
We appreciate your prayers and support for this ministry. Go to americasfamilycoaches.com today to find out how you can support this life-giving ministry.
Welcome to the Rosbergs, your marriage coaches. Join Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg, America's family coaches, who bring 4 decades of empowering marriages across the U.S. and internationally for this podcast to equip you and your partner with encouragement and tools for a great marriage. Here now are your hosts, Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg.
We are the Rosbergs, your marriage coaches. And Barb, I'm clapping my hands. I'm rubbing them together because we've got some money for our clients.
We do. And we want
listeners today.
Well, we do. And we want to thank a very, very special couple that we were just sharing life with. And I hope that as they're listening today, they do know it's them. One of them said, gee, wouldn't it be great if you had a recipe for what you're supposed to do in those 2 chairs that you talk to us about so frequently? And we laughed out loud and we went to our respective cars and we said, let's do it. So we're going to tell you what the secret in the sauce is today. When you sit down in those 2 chairs with your Rosbergian system, and you are going to have some real connection and thoughts on how to do it, when to do it, and what to get out of it from today's program. So let's get started.
Yeah, I was speaking last Saturday in Chicago to 600 guys and shared the platform with Dave Wilson, the co-host with his wife Ann for Family Life Today. So he opened the day, I closed the day, and we did workshops in between on marriage, and very similarly impassioned by this issue of marriage. And I talked about this concept that we're doing a podcast. In fact, a lot of those guys are listening. I told them to listen to this podcast about taking 2 chairs and you've heard us talk about this, but just to reiterate, we want you to identify 2 chairs that don't have history of having, knockdown, drag out disagreements, or you don't watch my Packers beat your team because my Packers always beat your team, or eat pizza or pay bills or take naps in. But there are 2 chairs that when a guy walks to it and his wife walks to it and they sit down, there's a prescription. There's something expected of them. And what's expected is something called connection. And I said, we wrote a book on communication. We thought communication was the ticket. But it's not. It's really connection. So what do you do in order to connect? And so this gal said, gosh, why don't you guys talk about a recipe? What's the recipe? I mean, make it clearer for us because you've won us over that we're going to go to the 2 chairs. Well, what do we do when we get there? And so today we're going to talk about it, because you know what we tried on Monday may not work on Tuesday, and because things keep changing. But we want to help you learn how to connect. Now, first of all, connection is as clear as 1, 2, 3. Not as easy as 1, 2, 3. It's as clear as 1, 2, 3. And Barbie, talk about the 3 parts of connection.
Well, there's the daily connection, and this is where we're going to pause and really take some time to unpack in just a few minutes. It can be done once a day, can be done throughout the day in different ways. Yeah. But we love to tell people to have 2 chairs, a place in their home where they gravitate to 2 chairs, and they know they're going to have 20 to 30 or maybe more minutes to really connect with one another. And when you do this on a daily basis, it really adds to your marriage. It doesn't cost you anything but time.
So clear as 1, 2, 3. That's 1. What's number 2?
Well, there's number 2, and maybe 2 times per month, have those date nights. Got to get away from the kids, and the kids need a break from you. And truly, you are a better parent when you can get away. If you can afford to get away just for dessert, it's so nice to get away for a meal. It is so nice when a husband is intentional and plans to get a babysitter. Yeah. Because so often, and I've heard women, even as recently as yesterday, say, I just love it when he is so intentional. He makes reservations, he plans for the kids, and I feel like a chariot's going to pull up in front of our home. And then, Gary, at least 3 times a year.
At least 3 times a year, get away for an overnight. And it could be a weekend, it could be a week, and but we know there's financial constraints and childcare restraints. There's all sorts of reasons you can't do this often. But at least 3 times a year, try to get away, even if it's overnight. And, swap babysitting with some friends, and, go stay at somebody else's place or a motel or something, and just take a deep rest and a deep drink of water from your spouse and just enjoy one another. In Proverbs 5, we read that drink water from your own cistern, living water from your own well. But if you drink water, you got to be in proximity and you have to be close. You have to be with them. So take some time apart so that they can be encouraged by that. So what do you do in the 2 chairs? Well, there's a number of things we're going to coach you, and then we're going to offer you 25 questions, and you can go to our website or you can email info@afcoaches.com, and our team will send those out to you through the email info@afcoaches.com, or write them down as we read some of them today. But we're going to give you 25 questions to get you started with your recipe. So, Barbie, it's 20 minutes a day. One of the things that I coach the guys is, you go to the 2 chairs, put them up in a spare bedroom, down in the basement, on the back deck, somewhere where they're unique to the intentionality of listening and sharing with your spouse. And when you go to those 2 chairs, as Barbie said, put aside at least 20 minutes in order to connect. That begins to build a daily ritual that builds a lifetime of love.
And being feminine, I would say that feels kind of masculine. So put those beautiful chairs in your kitchen, or put those beautiful chairs in the family room or your living room or your bedroom, so that it is a place of beauty and a place of comfort, so that it is a lovely atmosphere for both of you to relax, to enjoy, to feel re-energized by the handwork of what you have done with your home.
So when you go to the 2 chairs, and I challenge the guys to take leadership on this, turn off your device, turn off your phone, and just say, you know what, I'm going to turn my phone off. You don't say, now you turn your phone off. If your wife sees you do this 2, 3, 4, 5 times, believe me, by the 6th, 7th, 8th time, she'll start turning off her phone. So don't make that a contentious thing. Just turn off your phone. Now, if you're turning off, Barbie, if I'm turning off my phone when we sit in our 2 chairs, what is that demonstrating to you?
Well, I'm your only person you're giving attention to.
Yeah, you're the priority. So I'm not distracted. And so I'm focused on you and connecting to you. So it helps build the rhythm. Now, when you sit down, here's the next thing you do. Face each other. So don't have 2 chairs facing, the ocean or the back deck or the driveway. But have those two chairs so they're scooched together so that you're facing each other, and make eye contact when you sit down. And, Barbie, this is where some of this gets, this is all new information. You have not heard us say this before. Then slow down, then take a deep breath together. And then, Barbie, what's that third thing?
Well, tell us about holding your eye contact.
Maintain eye contact for how long?
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Just maintain eye contact. So I would sit down with Barb. I'd turn off my phone. She likely would turn off her phone. I'd face her. I look at you. Take a deep breath, inhale and exhale. And then for 30 seconds, just look into your spouse's eyes. Now, what does that do to a marriage, Barbie?
I would guess it connects us. It re-energizes us. It allows the oxytocin. It leaves room for chemicals of the brain to flow, serotonin, oxytocin, dopamine, experiencing comfort.
Yeah, and oneness and unity.
Yeah.
And then pray together. Mm-hmm. But can you talk about this idea of praying together with our eyes open?
We heard this from Arthur Brooks, who is the Harvard professor. And he talked about he and his wife who would look at one another, eyes wide open. His words were that it was more intimate than sexual intimacy, and that we pray together, looking into one another's eyes. And we have tried this since we learned it. And it's very, very intimate, because you're thinking and praying to God, but you're allowing your spouse with your eyes wide open to really see your soul as much as they can see through your own eyes. It's very intimate.
It is intimate. And it reminded me that when we were at Lake Point Church down in Rockwall, Texas, we had a big event. And a guy came up to me during the break, and he said, Rosberg, I am addicted to pornography. I've had all sorts of sexual partners, and I've never really been intimate with my wife. Do you have anything for me? And God gave me this concept. It's fascinating. And I said, next time you're in that intimacy, open your eyes and look into your wife's countenance. And I said, don't do it suddenly because it'll be abrupt, but just gently open your eyes and just look at her. And he said, well, why would I do that? And I said, because it will keep you in the moment. So you won't be reflecting on this image or this something that you saw on a screen or another person. You'll be in the moment. I don't think you can keep your eyes open in that intimate, vulnerable place and be reflecting back on something else or somebody else. And he goes, man, Rosberg, nobody's ever told me that. And I said, well, I don't think I've ever said that before. Just give it a shot. So 45 minutes later, the night's over. The guy comes running up on the platform and he goes, it worked. And I thought, what in the world? And he said, Gary, at the end of the night, he said, you and Barbie had us face each other, and they were up in the balcony, and we were holding each other's hands, and you were praying. You and Barbie were praying. And he said, I closed my eyes, because I've always done that with my wife when I pray, but then I opened my eyes real gently. And for some reason, she sensed my eyes were open. And that's why you wives are kind of, it's like you got a different radar. And I said, well, what happened? He said, she kind of leaned in and said, close your eyes. They're praying. Close your eyes. And he just nodded his head, not in control, but in great contentment, and just said, no, I want to keep my eyes open. I want to look at you. And then he said, I can't wait to go home, Gary, and learn how to do this through physical intimacy. And I thought, when you read that from Arthur Brooks, I thought, that's what he's talking about. It's a true form of intimacy. And I believe it's still honoring of the Lord. It's not that you're dishonoring the Lord by not being reverent, but when you're praying together with the lover of your soul, your spouse and your lifelong mate, and you open your eyes, you're joining with God, with your spouse in a deep sense of intimacy and vulnerability. And I think it's fantastic. So open your eyes, pray together, and then here's where we start to get into the substantive part. One of the persons share their heart. Can you talk about that?
Yes, and for the person that's being verbal and doing the speaking, you might talk about, this is how I'm doing today. This is what I've been through today. This is the emotional feeling I'm experiencing after the aftermath of what I've been through today. And this is what I need from you to best understand what happened to me before I got to this spot with you.
And so for the listener, you're listening without interruption. You're not trying to fix it. You're not trying to correct it. You're not trying to defend it. You aren't solving it. But what you're doing is you're seeing and you're hearing your spouse. And then, Barbie, something that nobody does better than you. When the listener is hearing it, then they have the opportunity to affirm and to appreciate. Talk about that.
Well, it's just listening with the ear of asking yourself, what does my spouse need? Where does my spouse need to be buoyed up? Where does my spouse need to be affirmed and believed in and encouraged? You can get out there and do it. You've done it so well before. It's a place to affirm and appreciate. So that's where I would say one of you, if not both of you in your marriage, can really serve in ministering to the heart of your spouse in your marriage.
And be really intentional with it. So when that spouse gives those affirmations, here's what we're coaching you to do. Tell them, I appreciate you for, and then fill in the blank. I'm thankful for you because, fill in that blank. I respect you when, fill in that blank. And what all this is doing, you've got one person listening, one person sharing, they're affirming and appreciating each other. And Barbie, it leads to connection. And then ultimately can lead to prayer.
Conversational prayer with one another.
Prayer, which we have taught over and over again.
And why does this work?
Yeah, I mean, let's identify some of these things because this really does work.
Right.
And what are some of the reasons it works?
Well, one is it reduces emotional distance. It keeps you really connected, on the same page, on the same wavelength as to what you've gone through in your individual lives during the day and how it unifies you and brings alignment with Christ so you can enjoy the rest of your evening or your day together. There is nothing like walking in oneness. It lowers your stress and it lowers your reactivity as far as jumping, being reactive, challenging one another. Boy, it really connects you. It could be that you're reacting today because you haven't spent enough time with one another. Yeah. Your pace has kept you far apart. Your proximity has kept you from connecting with one another. But what this little connection exercise does, it builds emotional safety and it prevents conflict
escalation.
Thank you. I was almost there.
Yeah, you would have gotten it.
So, go ahead.
Well, it prevents the conflict from building up. And then it strengthens marriage companionship, builds emotional safety, and it allows you to have quick repairs. I mean, look at what the outcome of sitting down facing each other with no technology, taking a deep breath, looking into each other's eyes, praying with your eyes open, one of you sharing what's going on, the other person listening, affirming and appreciating them, building each other up. That's what it does. That's the outcome. That's why Gary and Barbie Rosberg ad nauseum challenge you to go to two chairs and to build that sense of connection. Keep your kids out of there. Barbie, you had the 3 Bs with our kids.
Oh, unless you're bleeding, broken, or bruised, give Dad and I this time to connect to one another. We did it before dinner. We'd sit in our living room in our 2 pink chairs.
Mauve.
And we would talk about mostly our days and the high points and the low points and what we went through and what we needed. And we just rediscovered one another. We gave to one another. We took from one another. And then we really went into the evening and loving our family, walking in oneness, Gary.
Walking in oneness. So the recipe. So now here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a few minutes and we're going to give you these questions. And then if you want them written, all you have to do is write an email, send it to info@afcoaches.com and ask for the recipe for 2 chairs, deeper questions. And Sarah will send those out to you.
And so there's 25 questions.
Yeah.
And they're conversation starters.
And a lot of people are in the car listening right now, or they're on vacation, or they're cleaning the garage, or whatever they're doing, getting ready to watch a soccer game. So let's give them to them. And so they hear them audibly. but then you can get them in writing as well. So one question, Barbie, you could ask is number one. What's number one?
Where do you feel closest to me this week?
That's a pretty good question.
It's a good.
Yeah, where do you feel closest to me this week? Here's another one. Where have you felt distance from me this week? So now you're getting kind of the other side of the coin.
How can I love you better this week?
That's a good one.
Or what's one thing you need more from me?
Yeah. I mean, we often know what we need less of, but what do you need more of? And some people will think, well, you should know. Or if I have to tell you, it doesn't count. That's not true. Go ahead and tell your spouse what you need more. So that's 1 through 4. Barbie, what's number 5?
Well, number 5 is what's been weighing on your heart lately?
Yeah, that gets to the heart of the matter, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's getting deeper, isn't it?
Yeah, because your spouse is carrying stuff. We're all carrying stuff. But what is it that they're carrying? How about number 6?
When did you feel most stressed or overwhelmed this week?
Yeah. And as a spouse, you may know what that is, but don't assume you know. And you may think it was something with your spouse's parents, and you'll ask that question and they'll say it was something with one of the kids, and you'll go, gosh, I didn't think of that. But I want to think about that now.
Gary, give us number 7.
Number 7 is, what is something you wish I understood better about you? I mean, Barbie and I have asked that question of each other. What do you need me to better understand so that I can love you better and encourage you better?
How about number 8?
Number 8, where are you feeling discouraged right now? And Barbie, you are the queen of encouragement. So there's not a greater encourager than Barbie Rosberg. And so you speak life and blessing into people all the time. And I get most of it. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Because I get to be the recipient. How about number 9?
What has brought you the most joy recently?
Yeah. See, now, not what are you happy about, what's the biggest, blessing, although those are wonderful things, but what's bringing you joy? And that joy is sometimes in the midst of sorrow, or that joy is sometimes in the midst of suffering, but you're reframing for your spouse. What is bringing you joy?
Gary, I want to hear from you 10, 11, and 12.
All right. Number 10 is, when did you feel that I intentionally served you this week? And that's a good one, honey, because, guys know that if they're serving or they're not serving. When I would speak at Promise Keepers, my topic for those 12 years almost invariably was how to outserve your wife. And so it would cause me to be intentional to learn how to serve you and to look for the areas to best serve you. So that's number 10. Number 11 is, share with me one thing that I do well that affirms my love for you. So you're not going to the 2 chairs to be abrupt or sharp or demanding or critical or saying, now I gotcha, I'm going to, go after you. It's not that at all. So number 11 is, share with me one thing that I do well that affirms my love for you. Tell a guy what he's doing well. Tell a girl what she's doing well. And then, honey, you asked for 10, 11, 12. Number 12 is, what is one thing I did that made you feel loved? We know that guys want to feel adequate and appreciated. We know that wives want to feel loved. So what's one thing I did that made you feel loved? So let me turn the tables on you. What's 13, 14, and 15? 13
is there anything unresolved between us we should gently talk about?
Yeah.
I like the word gently.
So do I.
Because that sets the framework of keeping the atmosphere connected and gentle, of course. Number 14 is, how can I love you better this week?
Practical as can be.
Number 15 is, what is something you appreciate about me right now?
Yeah.
And then number 16 is, where do you see me growing?
Yeah.
How about number 17, Gary? 17,
when do you feel most respected or valued by me? That's a good question. That'll get some stuff cooking.
And 18, what is one strength you see in me that I may not see?
Isn't it amazing how we need to hear that from our spouse? Yeah. I mean, when we're feeling inadequate or we're not, at the top of our game, we want to know, what's a strength that you see in me that I don't see? I mean, we need our spouse to point it out, and that builds connection, I guarantee.
Okay. Number 19 is, what is something God is teaching you right now?
Yeah.
Those are always exciting conversations.
Sure they are.
Yeah.
Number 20, what are you most excited about or hopeful about? What are you most excited or hopeful about? That's a good one. 21, honey.
What is something you are afraid of or concerned about?
So now you're getting at what's underneath the surface that your spouse may be tempted to carry alone, but you're saying, let me lighten the load and carry the burden with you.
22 is, where do you feel stretched or challenged right now?
Yeah. Stretched or challenged. And gosh, husbands and wives, I bet you there's a number of things that your spouse could share with you.
23 is, how can I pray for you right now?
Mm-hmm. So now we're getting back to the spiritual connection and intimacy. 24, Barbie? 24, what kind of legacy do you want our marriage to leave? And Gary, number 25. 25. If we could go back to a time that you felt especially close to me, share what I did that helped that connection time. So where did I do it well? Put me back on the map. Remind me so that I can try to do something similar or do it again. Now, I think when we talked to that couple, that sweet couple that said, gosh, why don't you give us a recipe for the 2 chairs? They're probably going to take this list and they're going to take a magnet and stick it on the fridge or something. But this gives them at least 25 conversation starters to get the ball rolling. And our premise is if you do this 5, 10, 15, 20 times, let alone 25 times, you're going to get the wheels greased and you'll start to strengthen that marriage even deeper.
That's right.
This is the recipe for 2 chairs.
It is. It's a wonderful recipe.
Yeah. It's not diet-free. It's not, what do you call it? Gluten-free. I don't even know what you call it. But you know what? It builds connection. And Barbie, I'm glad that we get to sit in those 2 chairs. And we're at the stage we do it pretty often and just connect with one another because I love being with you. I love being able to share these things.
And you.
So we're grateful for you listening and tuning in to the Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches. Join us next time. Go ahead and rank this, share it with other people, spread the word. We're here to coach and encourage you as your marriage coaches. God's blessings to you. Guard your heart, and we'll see you next time.
Hey listeners, make sure to stay up to date with the Rosbergs by subscribing to their show, Your Marriage Coaches, on any major podcast platform such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you will get an alert each time a new episode is released. Whatever platform you're listening on, please rate the podcast and leave us a review.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches, with Dr. Gary and Barbie Rosberg. To find out more, go to americasfamilycoaches.com. Once you're there, you can check out the many resources that they have available. From their many books to their informative video series, 6 Secrets to a Lasting Love, they've got all the tools you need to help you grow deeper in your relationship with your spouse and with God. Go to americasfamilycoaches.com and click on the Resources tab. Also, if you have a marriage question, you can call 855-ROSBERG and leave a message with your question. We may use your question on a future episode. We appreciate your prayers and support for this ministry. Find out how you can come alongside us when you go to americasfamilycoaches.com. Just search the top of the index for the Donate tab. Thank you for listening in today. Be sure to join us next time for another episode of The Rosbergs, Your Marriage Coaches, with Gary and Barbie Rosberg.